the plan for tonight is I have not made kale smoothies. My daughter made the first kale smoothie I've had, I think, ever during this past week. I had mentioned it, somebody in the chat when I was doing the kale chips mentioned, I was asking, what else can I make with kale? And people were talking, yeah, kale smoothies. So I gave that a try. I really enjoyed the one she made for me. So I've got 3 options I'm going to try to make tonight. One's just like a banana berry kind of mix. One's a classic green smoothie. It's like a frozen banana, kale, milk, peanut butter. It has chopped mango or pineapple. I don't have that, but I do have another recipe that is a peach and oat. I was going to try that one. It's frozen peaches, banana, kale, and rolled oats. So going to give that a try tonight. But before I start cooking all that, I need to go harvest some kale. I've already got some. I've already harvested. It's in the fridge. It's already chopped up. It's ready, but that's going to be my extra, just in case I don't have enough. So I'm going to start with walking out. I'm going to walk out to the garden, and we're going to harvest some kale from the garden. We're going to go ahead and cut that up, and then we're going to use that to make our smoothies. And I get to give you an awesome tour of my garden. All right, so heading out on the deck, I'm going to switch the camera around, let you see what I'm looking at. And it makes it easier to do this with the selfie stick. Now, I'm off of the house Wi-Fi, so hopefully this works better than last time. So I'll start the garden tour with the deck here. So I was doing a project today where I was doing strawberries. I was doing daughter plants from a mother plant. So I transplanted some of those to this planter today. I'm going to try to grow some blueberries, some limes, some lemons, banana, and kiwi. So I'm trying lots of new things this year. This is kind of my planter for flowers. This is my planter for herbs. So I've got a lot of different herbs growing there. So that's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to adding that to different things as I get more produce from my garden and have a chance to flavor that with herbs from my garden or from my little planter there. If you've watched some of my videos before, you'll recognize this space. This is where I do a lot of my outdoor projects, where I'm working on the worm. I got the Worm Factory 360, so I'm doing a lot of the worm stuff here, the different garden projects. That's kind of my little garden studio, just under a gazebo on the deck. And then I love this view. This is my garden right from my deck. So a lot of the time you'll see my videos, you kind of have that over the head view. It's because I'm standing right here on the top of the steps, just looking down into my garden. I'm not sure how well this is showing up. Hopefully it's not broken up for you. I know it's a lot of detail for a live stream process, but let's go ahead and take a walk through the garden. I'll give you the quick tour. Okay, well, we start with just the sound of a garden gate opening. Love that sound. Okay, so walking into my garden, I start with my little, I don't know, my snack bar. I've got strawberries right here at the front. Then I got some sugar snap peas behind that. And then I've got, okay, cool. And then I've got cherry tomatoes behind that. So I've got a lot of different types of things that I can snack on when I walk into the garden. And we'll go ahead and just walk around this way. Okay, so I got my strawberries. Those did really good. I had enough to do strawberry jam. So that turned out really good. I was impressed with the strawberry jam. I'm hoping I get enough to do that again this year. Companion kind of plant for strawberries is onions. So I have my onions right next to my strawberries. Just planted some more of those. Those are coming in nicely. I've got some broccoli. I just harvested my first head of broccoli, but not really enough to do anything in the kitchen for a cooking chat tonight. So I'm going to try that, and hopefully I get more broccoli. That's my carrots, but you can see I've only got the one carrot that's growing. I did like okay. Hey, we're live again. Okay, yeah, that's the danger of trying to do this live in the garden. Okay, well, I'm back to 0 viewers, but thanks for all those who were watching. Hopefully you'll rejoin. Okay, so I'll continue where I left off, and we'll see how this works. I'm not sure. I lost connection. I'm in the backyard. I've turned off my Wi-Fi, hoping that will give me a better connection. But we'll pick up with the carrots. I'm back with a couple of people. Excellent, thank you. Sorry I'm having connection issues trying to do this from the backyard. I got some carrots growing. I planted some more, so hopefully those continue to grow. I was talking about my broccoli when I think I lost connection. This is my beans and my yellow squash. So that's kind of what I got going there. Different types of, I got lima, pinto beans. The pintos are the ones you see doing really good on the left side there. And then I've got some stringless green beans. This is going to be bush beans, Blue Lake bush beans. I've got those growing. I've got several types of hot and sweet peppers, just a variety there growing. And then I've got more sunflowers. I did like a fun in sun variety of sunflower, so we'll see what type grows. And then marigolds. My garden has to have marigolds. All right, and then this is my full-size tomatoes. So I have several varieties of tomatoes growing. See, I've got butterflies just pollinating. They're loving my garden this year. I got my first little gnome there as I'm going around doing the tour. So once I get to a certain subscriber level, I'll have everybody help me name my gnomes. I did a little short on that, and yeah, I didn't really get many views on the short, so I didn't get any feedback yet on that idea, but hopefully that's something that'll happen later on the channel. Let's see, and then I've got several varieties of tomatoes. This is my Roma tomatoes. Those are starting to grow. So those are going to be really good. My wife was really excited about the Roma tomatoes this year. And I got a few more growing. So yeah, they're coming along. Okay, so this is one I'm really proud of. This is my Amish potato tower. I did some research on this. Saw lots of different ideas, saw a lot of AI generated stuff that was all over the place. So I came up with my own design. So this is a 2x3 inch wire fence. You can kind of see I used some garden wire to wrap the ends of it to make it a circle. It's 3 foot in diameter. It's 3 foot tall. And you plant your seed potatoes down at the bottom level. And then you add straw and compost, and you just go up multiple levels throughout the season. And then by the time they get fully grown, you've got the whole thing just full of potatoes. So I wanted to give that a try this year. So far it's going really good. All 3 of them, the potatoes are growing. I just did a video today, or just filmed a video today, of me going through adding that second layer. So those are really coming along. I'm excited about my potatoes this year. And then we have, along the fence line, all along my raised beds here, that's some mammoth Russian sunflowers. That was the ones that I could find seeds for that would produce sunflower seeds large enough for me to season them and cook some sunflower seeds. Let's see, what else do we have in the back bed here? The one with the flower, which that's nice. That wasn't there when I looked earlier. But this one's starting to flower. These are bottle gourds. So I'm going to have some bottle gourds growing, just decorative kind of thing that I can grow in my garden. I've got several planters with tomatoes along the raised beds. Oh, I just noticed that one's actually producing. Okay, so we have another one of my gnomes here. This one my wife painted, so I really like that gnome. We have pumpkins here. And then we have the Jack B. Little pumpkins in this one. So these are the smaller pumpkins. And let's see, no tomatoes in that one. This is volunteer sunflower seeds. I didn't plant anything here, so I had sunflowers in that bed last year, and these just started growing on their own. And they're taking off. They're some of my biggest sunflowers so far this year. And behind that, what's supposed to be in this bed is some cantaloupe. So hopefully those grow, and I'm going to try to go vertical with things this year. So once those start growing, I'll try to get the vines to go up, and then I'll hang the melons from a hammock. That's kind of the goal there. Okay, this raised bed, the plan for this one is this is going to be my 3 sisters bed. So I'm starting with corn, and then I'm planting some beans in there that will vine up the stalks, and they'll use that as their way to climb. And then once those have established, then you add squash at the bottom level. Because once the beans start growing up, then the bottom's clear to start growing additional things. So my corn is taking off, so I'm adding in the beans and the squash soon. Let's see. Oh, and I do have a tomato that's starting up there. Nice. Yeah, that's a lemon boy, so that's going to be a nice bright yellow tomato. Looking forward to trying that. Okay, so this bed has bok choy, Swiss chard. I think those are, well, I'm not quite sure what that is. I've done like a plant finder to try to figure out what it is. So I think it's like a type of mustard green. I thought originally I had, what did I have in there? I had kohlrabi is what was in there last year, and these kind of started up in the springtime. So I don't know if that's something I planted or something that dropped from a next door neighbor. And then I've got multiple types of lettuce that are growing. That one looks really cool. It's almost like a little Christmas tree now. That one has really shot up that stalk. But yeah, producing some different types of lettuce there. This is going to be some cabbages, but they're kind of slow to get started. This is my collard greens, which I've done a couple of episodes where I've done, or cooking chats where I've done something with collard greens. So this is the one plant from last year that started growing again in the springtime, and that's producing all of my collards. And here is my kale. This is kind of the star of tonight. That's where I'm going to harvest some kale, and we're going to use that for our kale smoothies. Behind that, there's some mesclun greens, so it's different types of salad greens. And then we'll go back to the raised beds. We have another one of our, it's not quite a gnome, but a little bunny there. So that one will be needing a name at some point. This is my sugar baby melons. So these are like a softball size personal watermelon. It's like a watermelon for one. Really enjoyed those last year, so growing some more of those. And then next door are the full-size watermelons. So you notice I've got the sunflowers behind everything, so it's not blocking the sun. But this is going to be my watermelon. I did have my pet toad, Jerry, that was living in here for a while. I haven't seen him in a few days. So keeping an eye out for Jerry, my garden toad. Yeah, if you happen to see it, put something in chat. Let me know you've seen Jerry, but I haven't seen him in a couple of days out here. All right, so, and then this is a lettuce that was kind of a volunteer. I don't know where it came from. I've got some Luffa planted that I'm going to get to in just a moment. And this was in the box where I've got the Luffa growing. So, yeah, so I moved it over here and gave it its own little space. All right, so these are my cherry tomatoes. I've got several varieties of cherry tomatoes in there. I've probably got about 10 varieties all kind of packed in, so I'll see what it produces. I've already gotten a few nice ones out of there this year. And you can see there's a lot more getting ready. So, yeah, we've got a bunch of them here that are starting. So looking forward to having those cherry tomatoes when I come out to the garden every day. Let's see, we'll spin around here. I know that doesn't handle well on the stream, so I'm trying to keep the camera as still as I can. All right, so we've got more tomatoes there. And then this is my cucumber teepee. Now, you've probably seen, if you've looked at YouTube videos, some kind of AI-generated people creating a, overnight kind of thing. They just put the seeds in and everything vines up and it looks beautiful and it works great. So I wanted to give it a try in real life. So this is my cucumber teepee. My sister sent me the idea for it and I loved it, figured out how to do it, and here it is. You can see I've already got some cucumbers growing and they just kind of hang down inside the teepee. This is pretty awesome. The problem I have, you can see some of them are not looking so great at the moment. I've had a little infestation of ants. They have come in here and they've kind of made all my cucumbers sick at the moment. So I'm working on trying to get rid of my ants. But you can see there's a lot of little baby cucumbers forming. And you can also see they're covered in ants. So I am still working to get rid of those ants so my cucumbers can be healthy. Okay, so now we get to the trellis section of the garden. Okay, I'll step back a little bit so I can look back here. Okay, so this bed is long beans. This is like a really long, like 1.5 to 2 foot long green bean. They will hang down beautifully from that trellis. I had a couple of boxes here last year. That was my first attempt at doing potatoes. So I had these cardboard boxes I got from Lowe's, and they seemed like they were sturdy enough to last one season, just doing the heavy-duty cardboard box. It wouldn't last into a second season, but I used it in my compost bin. So it got recycled back into my garden. But this is from some long beans that I was a part of a community garden last year at work. And one of the people there had these long beans. So I collected a couple, took the seeds from them, held on to them until this year, and look at them grow. So this is a seed that I got from somebody at a previous garden where I had a plot. and was starting to learn how to do gardening last year. So I think that is awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing those vine up. They're getting close. I did a couple sticks to give them something to climb. You can see behind there, I got some grapevines. So the grapes have already kind of started taking over the trellises, especially the second one here. You can see the grapevines have already spread all the way up that trellis. But what's in the box below that one is Luffa. I did not ever think of Luffa as being something you grow in a garden. But apparently it's an edible thing. It's kind of like a cucumber, zucchini, something along those lines. And once they're smaller, they're just an edible vegetable like that. But if you let them grow larger and dry out, then they become the loofah you're familiar with, like from a bathroom scrubber. So looking forward to trying to do some loofah this year. Figure out a recipe, try eating some, and then also letting some grow to have a nice souvenir from my garden. I've got some loofah. And this flower pot here, which isn't really pretty at the moment, that's also from the previous garden. That's some evening primrose. So it was beautiful a couple of weeks ago. Nice, pretty yellow flowers. So just got lots of things going on in the garden. All right, I'm going to show you the outside of the garden, then we'll come back in and we'll collect some kale. All right, so you see all along my garden fence, and this is a garden fence that I built last year. It's a 20 by 30 foot garden. So I just came up with an idea, got some chicken wire and some boards and hinges and a little latch for the gate, and made myself a garden back here. Before that, it was just those raised beds along the fence line. And all along the fence, I've got these bottle planters. These are Diet Mountain Dew bottles. I've got some videos on my channel where I was going through how I made these. And I have these set up all along my fence line. And if I'm in the garden and say like the top of my collards, it starts to flower, and I've got those pretty flowers, instead of just clipping them and throw them in the compost bin, I can add them to one of these bottle planters and enjoy the flowers out here. It attracts more pollinators. So I've had a lot of butterflies. As I'm walking around, I'm sure you've seen plenty of butterflies in the garden. So yeah, it's just a useful little thing, having those extra places to plant things. And then if I need to do some succession planting, I've already got some seedlings growing in the bottle planters. And then this is my pride and joy at the moment. This was my big project today. That's my other two Amish potato towers, my epic tater towers. So these are really coming along. You can see the potatoes growing in there. Just a moment of silence just to appreciate the beauty of the potatoes growing in my potato tower. All right, and then this thing in the center here, this is a watering tube. So I can just, get the hose, put it right at the top there. It's going to go down. I've got holes drilled every 4 inches all around the pole. I wrapped it in a garden fabric so that the holes won't get clogged up. And now I can water when it gets up to 3 foot tall, all the way through the soil, and the straw there is going to get watered. So my potatoes will continue to thrive and produce lots of potatoes. This is my grapevine. I wanted to try growing grapes. So I put it in something I can take it with me, because we're planning to move to South Carolina in a year or 3, depending on how work goes. So this is my grapevine that I'm trying to grow. And you can see I've already got some grapes that are forming in there. I'm really excited about trying my first grapes. I know growing up, my grandmother, she passed away last year, and was one of the inspirations for me doing all the gardening. She had some grapevines back on their property, and I really enjoyed that. And now every time I eat grapes, it's going to make me think of her. Wow, yeah, moment of silence for that. Okay, and then my other potato tower. You can see the potatoes are just thriving in there. With the straw underneath them, it's not as big of a contrast as when it was that dark brown compost earlier today. So those are looking really good. And this is another volunteer from my backyard. This is a mulberry tree that I identified it. It was on the fence line. I let it grow, and I'm hoping that it will produce some mulberries for me this year. Don't know that I've ever had mulberries, but that's part of my gardening journey, is trying new things. And in this, I've done a video where I built a compost bin using some some pallets I had in the backyard from something like stones that we had delivered at one point. They were kind of just tucked under our deck. Had a few boards from other little projects, and turned that into a compost bin. So that's where I've been putting my completed compost. And then this side is for like my dirty compost. So like the things I don't want to put in my garden, I'll put into this side. And you see I got a cover on it because it's under a pine tree. And if I don't do that, it's going to be totally covered in needles, which is part of the dirty compost I don't really want in my garden. It's just too alkaline. And then the rest of the backyard. And if anybody's still here from the beginning, when I was in the kitchen, I was talking about Father's Day. And this was one of my Father's Day presents. So I have a bird feeder that has a motion sensor camera on there. And now it will send me a notification and the identification of any birds that come and eat from it. I think that's pretty awesome. My wife knows that I was kind of trying to learn more about, plants and animals and, all those types of things, anything nature right now. So she thought this would be a good idea, and I love it. So got that set up, and I'm hoping to start getting some nice little videos of birds that come and feed there. And then since I'm looking at this, I'll mention my little wind chime. I did a short where I set up a sprinkler to hit the wind chime. I thought it was a clever little idea. I made a nice short, set it to music. I had it pointed, I had a camera, and I'm sure that's not handling well on the live stream of me moving around, but I had it pointed toward the garden. So you could see the garden in the background, and a squirrel ran along the fence line as I was doing the video. It was just magical, and no one watched the video. So if you watch this either live now or watch it later, and you see this part of the video, I'm going to leave a link, and please watch that video because I was just so proud of the idea of doing the sprinkler hitting the wind chime. I thought it was really cool. Oh, and you can see the cat in the window. My daughter is home from college at the moment, and her cat is in the basement because we have dogs upstairs. And so every time the dogs come out, they are just focused on this window because the cat will visit, because I think the cat knows when the dogs are let out, and just races to this window so she can tease them. Cute little cat. But yeah. All right, moving on. Okay, so just to finish the garden tour here, and I'm sure with me moving around, there's so much detail, it's going to really be a messy live stream. But these are more of my bottle planters. This is some salad bowl lettuce. So trying to grow some additional lettuce there. This is baby choy, but I didn't really tend it very well because it was in those bottle planters, and it went to flower. So I'm just going to enjoy watching the flowers develop for the choy there. And then I've got random other little things that I harvested from the garden, things I clipped from the top of others. And then I've got some bunching onions in there. And then just random things. You can see my compost bins. I'll go ahead and touch on that since that's been a lot of producing what I need for the garden is I've been making my own compost. So I've got these big compost bins. You can see this one's got some eggshells and bread and different things from the kitchen in there. I don't know if you can see them, but there's lots of strawberries in there as well. And then I've got a second one over here. I went through and cleaned these out this weekend. So this one is like finely shredded. So this one is composting a lot quicker. So hopefully this is going to produce all the compost that I need for my tater towers. So trying to keep a close eye on those and make sure they're producing. And then just kind of place where I'm storing my straw and wheelbarrows and all my other little garden equipment. So that's my tour. Oh wait, the last thing. I also did a video where I added this 200-gallon rainwater barrel to my backyard garden. So I've been collecting rainwater in buckets, and then I just pour it right into here. I think it's about up to there. It's around half full now. So yeah, I'm collecting rainwater in a barrel, and it's kind of starting that natural, off-grid kind of thing of collecting my own rainwater for the garden. So that is my garden tour. Thank you for anyone who was able to stick around. I know I had connection issues there. I'm sure the quality is not the best as YouTube processes a live stream with this many details in the view. I know if I try to do a walk and talk, I have to record it and then upload it in 4K for it to be even watchable, or else it gets all pixelated and grainy and just, not so much fun to look at. Hopefully this is good enough quality and at least the sound is good. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up my camera here. Let's see, let's find a good spot. We'll just kind of set the tripod on the ground there. Hopefully that'll not fall over. Let's see, I didn't test this out. I don't know if it's going to hold up right there on the ground or not. Let's see, let's get a little something to lean against it. Keep that upright long enough for me to collect some kale. All right. So now I finally get to be on camera again. All right, so since we're making kale smoothies, I'm going to collect some kale. This one has been producing a lot of kale this year. So you don't want to collect all of it. You only want to collect about 1/3 at a time. So I'm trying to get some of the bigger ones and some that's going to help not block the other kale that I've got kind of growing here at the bottom. This one, like I said, was a volunteer from last year. It had a second year in it. But you can see it's producing way more kale than I need because the rest of the family is not really eating it. So just collecting a good bit here. Then once we have our kale, I'm gonna go inside and try cooking some. I was talking to my wife before I started this, don't really have a whole lot in the garden yet. It's mostly kale and collards and things like that, so I'm coming up with other different things for it. Kale smoothie may not be the best thing to make tonight, but it was also one of those things of I'm trying to stay in practice of doing these cooking chats. And if I make the excuse that my garden's not producing anything for my cooking chat, I may not do one. So just trying to establish a habit of doing these on a regular basis, just to build the channel and to try new recipes. If this is the first time you watched any of my content, my goal is to become a farmer in South Carolina in about 3 years when I retire at 55. So I've got less than 900 days to learn all the skills I need to be a farmer. And so since I don't have a farm yet, I have a garden. So I'm trying to learn things here. And then as I produce different things in my garden, I'm trying to figure out how to cook it. I mean, there's no point in growing it if I'm not going to know how to eat it. Or if I'm going to, put all the effort into growing something and then ruin it when I bring it to the kitchen. So I'm trying to learn some cooking skills to go along with my gardening skills. So we've collected some kale now. We will take that in. I'll add that to what I've already collected that I have inside already prepped for us. And we'll try a couple of kale recipes or kale smoothie recipes, and I'll get to try some kale. All right, so let's get ready to go back inside. All right. Let's try focusing on me and see if the live stream quality will be a little bit better if it's not looking at all the details in the garden itself. Set the kale there. And I love this sound. It's the garden fence closing. It's one of the best. All right. So hopefully the garden tour was watchable. I'm going to check it after the live stream ends just to kind of see how the quality was, so I know for next time, is that something I want to include. My first attempt didn't go so well, but I was connected to our house Wi-Fi, and it's not so good in the garden. So I thought I would try just using the phone signal for this one and see if that's any better. So we'll see how it goes. All right, got my kale inside. Close the door. And actually, as I'm walking in, let me show you one more thing that's kind of central to this channel lately. This is my Worm Factory 360. So as part of my gardening and the composting, I wanted to try vermicomposting. So with that, I ordered a pound of worms. These are red wiggler worms. Don't worry, I'm going to wash my hands before I start cooking. But yeah, that's my red wiggler worms. So as I have kitchen scraps, those go into there. You can see I've got a few little selections of things that I'm prepping for it. So yeah, that's my red wiggler worms in their new Worm Factory 360. I'm collecting the worm tea there, which is amazing fertilizer for your garden. It's really, natural because it's coming from the worms, but it's great because it doesn't burn your crops. So it's really cool. All right, so let's focus back on me. And there we go. All right, now let's get set up in the kitchen and try to make some kale smoothies. All right, and I got my laptop set up in here. It looks like the stream is still going. All right, and I see Toby, Andrew, or Tom in the chat, and I'm not sure what that meant, and I'm sure whoever said that is no longer in the chat because that was before I had the connection issues. Okay, so please, now that I'm here and I'm looking at the screen, I've got chat in front of me. Chat is definitely appreciated. That's part of why I love doing these is I've been able to meet people from New Zealand and Russia and just all over the world because this is over YouTube and it gets sent to who knows. I mean, it can go to anybody around the world. So that's just part of the experience of doing this. I'm loving it. Okay, so now I'm back in the kitchen. Let's go ahead and we'll prep the kale that we just collected and I'll pull out the other ingredients and I'm going to try to make some smoothies. And the puppies are on high alert right there. Oh, I think I have someone sneaking around over there. I got family that's feeding the dogs. Let's see. Oh, and I didn't prep very well. I need milk for this. It looks like almost all my milk's gone. Okay, let's start with cleaning up the kale that we just harvested. All right, I never can figure out how to set up the camera if I'm at the sink. So I try not to do much of the sink stuff on camera for these. But just gonna add some water to my little bin here and rinse these off. All right, don't want to talk too much while I've got all the cleaning noises going on. I've got a good mic, but I don't know how much it's going to get noise from me rinsing off all the kale. All right. All right, got that all cleaned up. Dump that out, and we'll hold that there as we're processing the kale. All right, move this back over here. Let's go ahead and focus it down on the prep area. Actually, it's going to be a little bit different because I'm not using the stove for this one. Whoop, I'm about to knock that over. Let's try to figure this out. There we go. I think that should be good, showing the prep area. And I'm still in frame. Yeah, we're looking good. Okay. Like I said, I was going to wash my hands because I was doing the worm stuff. I'm going to go ahead and definitely wash my hands there. All right. Okay. So here you can see some kale that I've already prepared. So this is just getting rid of the stems and then cutting it up into smaller pieces, like inch or so pieces. So we're just gonna do the same with the rest of the kale that we have here. So let's figure out a good way to do this, being on camera doing it. All right, so we'll just do a quick slice along the stem, and then we'll do just a couple quick chops just to get it into smaller pieces. I think that'll work. Okay, so now that I'm processing kale and kind of in the kitchen and settled in a little bit, not walking around the garden, I can see the chat and I can see what's going on. Yeah, if anybody has anything they want to talk about, I can ramble with the best of them, so I can just talk about whatever comes to mind. Or if you have any topics that you want to discuss, just let me know and I can talk about it. Leave that to you. Some people are shy to talk in chat, but yeah, feel free. Let's see. Yeah, with doing the kale, I didn't really have plans for that being the only thing that I had to cook so far this year. One of the big pieces of advice when you're doing a garden is don't grow it unless you're wanting to eat it, because all the effort you have to put in to get it from seed to plate. If you're not going to actually eat it, what's the point? I guess unless it's a money thing or something like that. But for me, I'm wanting to try all these different things. I know I'm wanting to be a farmer, but I don't know what I want to grow yet. I'm probably going to be trying everything. That's kind of my approach to life right now, is just new experiences, new skills, anything I can do to learn or try something new. And you're not promised tomorrow, so make the most of today. That kind of a mindset. So if I can grow it, I don't have to like it going in. I want to give it a try. And if I cook it, it tastes better anyway. So even some things I've noticed may not like it, but if you grow it yourself, you prep it yourself, turn it into a meal, it's going to taste better than anything you've tried before in your life. So it's worth growing it just for the experience, the things you learn from it. And, I may learn something from growing something I don't like that's going to help me to grow something I like better. So there's always that aspect of, even if the food itself is not something you're going to enjoy, it may teach you something that is going to improve something else that you do enjoy. So life kind of works that way sometimes. So you don't want to shut off those experiences by not trying new things. All right, so we're going to have a lot of kale here when we're done. Yeah, all I'm doing is kind of cutting on each side of that main stem, just getting rid of the hard stem part of it. We don't want to eat that. I think you can do that if it's like a baby kale. So it's, softer, something that would actually be okay in a smoothie. But all the recipes and everything, when I was trying to research, trying to figure out how to make a kale smoothie, it seems that simple. But I found that every time you research something on the internet, you're going to get, 50 different people telling you 50 different things, and while the other 49 are wrong. So that was even true for the smoothies. Some of the stuff I thought I knew about it, like the smoothie that my daughter made me, going by what the internet tells me, it's not the right way to do it. And it's actually one that I was going to do tonight, because it's using blueberries and bananas in there. And apparently, if you have bananas with blueberries, it will prevent your body from absorbing the good antioxidants that you get from the berries. So didn't know that. Don't know if it's 100% true, but that's what the internet told me. So I think it still tastes good, and even if it doesn't, even if it's not the absolute healthiest that it could be, if it tastes good, that's part of the point of it. So, you can see I'm trying to be healthy, but I'm not the healthiest. One of my things starting this channel was, and part of the reason why I started this channel was I made a New Year's resolution to do monthly resolutions. So I always have trouble trying to do a resolution for a full year, but I figure, limit the time span and do it a month. But then just make the resolution that I'm going to make new resolutions every month for a whole year. So in January, and I hadn't planned this before it, but one of those resolutions turned into me starting a YouTube channel. Part of that is I was trying to share the things I was doing, what I was growing in the garden, with a couple of text chats. I had one that was office related, one that was family related. And anytime I added a new person to the chat, it would kind of start over. I would lose the history of it. And so I wanted something a little bit more permanent. So I'd consider different apps and posting things on social media, but I've always avoided social media. I've worked in cybersecurity my whole life. I've worked in some environments to where it's just made me paranoid about you know, the internet and all the different things with technology, even though I work with technology on a daily basis. It's kind of one of those things of, I'm not paranoid. I know they're really watching me, that kind of thing. So I've had to overcome that and start putting things out on social media. So far, it's just the YouTube, but I know I need to add the Facebook and the Instagram and all the things. So I will expand into other types of social media. I'm just trying to focus on the YouTube first, get a good feel for that one before I venture into other things. And I know with the agriculture, a lot of the research I've done, a lot of the communities that are built around beekeeping. I know I want to do beekeeping. I looked at, when I moved to South Carolina, how to kind of join the beekeeping community, and that's all Facebook based. So I know I'm going to want to establish a presence on Facebook so that I can kind of join those communities and be a part of that. So, and then with the YouTube, it's, like I said, it was one of my January monthly resolutions as part of my yearly resolution. And it's something I'm going to continue because it's giving me an opportunity to kind of record all the things I'm learning, just all the steps along the way of, I don't know, achieving my dream of becoming a farmer in a few years. It keeps it fresh on my mind, something I'm focused on, something I can take steps every day to try to make that dream possible, make it happen. And so, yeah, counting down the days to retirement and trying to make every one of those days count by doing something that progresses that goal, either learning a skill, practicing something, getting exposed to something new, and, you know, trying to learn from it. And making a lot of mistakes along the way. That's one of those things is you can learn from your own mistakes or other people's mistakes. It's better to learn from other people's mistakes, but you remember yours more. So I'm trying a lot so that I fail a lot. So when it really matters, I've learned the lessons that will help me to be more productive as a farmer, as a businessman running a farming business, all of that. I know I'm going to want to do like a garden to table, like marketplace kind of thing. And with that, I'm going to need to know how to have that community outreach over the internet, set up the marketplace, you know, put myself out there so that I can share all the things that I can produce and I can get inputs to improve what I'm producing. So I'm going to take all of these stems and add that to my compost bin. That'll either go to the worms or it'll go to the bins you saw outside during the tour. All right, so we got those. Okay, so now we have our prepped. Which smoothie are we going to try first? Now, see, if I had people watching at the moment, right now I'm the only one watching, but I'm thinking I'm going to start with the simplest one. I'm going to start with the one that's just a bag of stuff. This is basically what my daughter made for me. I'm going to try some of that kale. Yeah, it does have a little bitterness to it. So most of the recipes are talking about how you balance that bitterness of the kale. I mean, you want all the healthy benefits of eating the kale, but most people don't really like the taste or the texture of kale. I kind of like it. It's really good. But our first recipe, we're going to go the simple route. We're going to use a bag of frozen. This has got blueberries, strawberries, and banana. So a lot of the essential ingredients for most of the kale smoothie recipes that I was looking into. So that one is our banana berry smoothie. Just going to use that mix, add some water and our kale, and mix it up. So let's go ahead and we'll start with a little mixer for this one. Because I have tried this. This is what my daughter made me. And I'm not going with exact measurements for this one since I'm working with a Ninja. So clean that up. I need to move my recipes before they get messed up there. Okay. All right. So we're just going to add some bananas and berries into the mix here. No, actually, I'm doing this wrong. Talk about making mistakes. No, we're already doing something wrong. Let me grab my, let me see. Hold on one second. Let's grab a little bowl since I've already pulled those out. We'll save those for the next step. First step is we need to start with our liquid and our soft stuff. So I'm going to start with a cup of our kale here. I'm going to add that in. We'll add a little water to that. We'll add about a cup of water. That should be about right. And then we're using a Ninja, so I'm just going to add the lid. Oop. Blades inside would make a lot more sense now, wouldn't it? Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and apologize. I'm using a blender or a Ninja for these recipes to make smoothies. So there's going to be some noise. All right, and I haven't really used the Ninja, so hopefully I know how to do this correctly. First step, plug it up. All right. All right, so there's our blended kale. Nice and green, looking good. Okay, now we'll add in all of our berries and bananas and all the good stuff. You know, I'm really tempted. I got to try that just by itself. What does just blended kale taste like? Very bitter. Very watery, since that's the only other ingredient. I can see why you want to add stuff to that, but it's nice to know the starting point. And I'm sure anybody you've ever watched make a kale smoothie has never done that. But that's part of the experience. I want to try the kale before I add in the flavors that make it taste good. All right, so now we're going to add in some frozen blueberries, strawberries, and banana. And kind of judge how much space is left in there. We'll go ahead and make a little bit more, because family's not the best at eating things that I grow, but they might try some of the smoothies. I know my daughter likes the smoothies. She made me one. And it's Father's Day, so, you know, they have to try it, right? I was expecting somebody to say no from the background. All right, so that is about full. Once we close that in. Okay, you can see already that looks much different than when it was just the kale. All right, now let's give that a blend. Sorry for the noise. Actually, I should move this over here so you can see a little bit better. All right, that's looking good. I don't think that's super thick, but I didn't add like a huge amount. Ugh, I guess on there pretty tight after you blend it. All right, and we're done. I can't open it. Ugh. All right, what's the trick to open it now? Oh my goodness. I'm making 3 varieties of kale and I can't open the container after I do the first blending. Hey, Lauren. See if my daughter can help me. She's the one that's used to using this. Maybe it's just I don't have a good grip. If you've used the Ninja before and you know the trick to open it, I'd appreciate you throw it in the chat. Oh, and it's just me. I've lost all my audience because I can't open the smoothie. Hey, Lauren. How do you open the smoothie container? I blended it, now I can't open it. Does it freeze up on you? Okay, am I twisting it the wrong way? Oh, I got it. All right, got our first smoothie. Sorry for the technical difficulty, but you know, something can go wrong, it will go wrong. All right, I've got 3 glasses prepared for our smoothies. All right. That one looks good. Looks chunky. Nice. All right, so we got to do the foodie thing. Let's see. Got to do it over here so it's got some light on it. No, there we go. There's the good view. So there's our first kale smoothie. There's our banana berry Yeah, you taste the bananas, strawberries, blueberries. Still taste the kale, but it's not overwhelming. It's not bitter. Yeah. That's the way to go. That's a good one. Delicious. All right. We'll set that there. Smoothie number 1. All right. Actually, I need to have a little bit more so I can pour the rest in the cup. And I know I've had different people popping in and out during the live stream. That's kind of to be expected. I like doing these because it gives me a chance to actually interact with people watching my content. Sometimes I may get subscribers out of that, or I may get additional views. But you know, it's just I get practice with doing a live stream, trying to produce better content that people would want to watch. So, all right, gonna rinse this out real quick and be right back. All right. All right, we'll set that there to dry a little bit while we work on the next one. I have a second cup here. All right, let's go ahead and dry our board here a little bit because we're doing our chopping on there. It's just our kale that we were doing on there. We'll go ahead and wipe that down. Give us a better surface to work on. Okay, so our second one, we did the banana berry. Do you want to do the peach and oat or the classic green smoothie? I'm thinking we have to go classic. Plus, I put some peaches in the freezer right before I started all this because I realized it was supposed to be frozen. So we'll give the peaches a little bit longer. We'll do that. Okay. So we're going to try this. This is a classic green smoothie. This is just a frozen banana, 2 cups of kale leaves, a cup of milk, and a tablespoon of peanut butter. It also had a cup of mango or pineapple chunks, which I looked around. I thought I had some, so I'm going to have to do without this time. So we won't have that little tropical flavor to it. So this will be classic green, but without the tropical flavor to it. Okay, so I do have a frozen banana. Let me grab that. All right, so I got 2 frozen bananas prepped for today. Now the thing is, when you freeze a banana, when a recipe tells you freeze a banana, are you supposed to do it just sticking the banana in the freezer like that? Or should you peel it, slice it, do all that? Because now I have a frozen banana that I have to slice. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be. Let's see. Let's get the knife we were using earlier. We'll give it a shot. Yeah, see, frozen banana. Not the easiest thing to prep now. It's not rock hard, but wow. Or do you do the peel and all? Is that part of doing a smoothie? Are you supposed to do the peel for banana? I don't know, my food advisor. Hey, Lauren. If it tells you to do a frozen banana, are you supposed to like take the peel off, or does that go in the smoothie too? All right, my daughter confirmed you take the peel off. Oh, hi from UK. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I was saying earlier, I love doing this because it gives me a chance to interact with people from around the world. So awesome. Have somebody here from UK. And that's the perfect way to introduce yourself, is where you're from. That's so cool. All right. Let's see. So what I'm trying to do now is make this is, where my recipe go? A classic green smoothie. So I'm processing the frozen banana at this point. First time doing a kale smoothie. First time going through anything with this type of a recipe. So not sure what I'm doing. Feel free to laugh along the way. I'm going to make mistakes and do some stupid things, I'm sure. All right, so I'm going to slice up our frozen banana. Nice choppy sounds on the board there. Because frozen banana, you got to press a little bit to get through that. Okay, oh, I didn't rinse this off. Let me rinse the blades real quick. All right. So we need the cup here. And this one said 2 cups of kale. So we're going to add in 2 cups. Getting kale everywhere. Good thing I cleaned my kitchen before I started the live stream. Didn't want a really messy kitchen before, you know, somebody from UK or anywhere around the world is joining me. All right, so we got 2 cups of kale. We'll add that in. If it'll cooperate, doesn't want to go in the cup there. All right, so 2 cups is a lot when you add it in like that. All right, so we got our kale. And then we need a cup of milk, which I don't have a whole lot of extra milk here, but it looks like I'm good with the other recipe. So we'll go ahead and add our milk into this one. All right, so we're going to add our milk in here, and then we will blend that up. Yeah, this is, I collected kale from my garden, so I'm trying to figure out things to do with what I'm producing in my garden as I learn the skills to be a farmer. So was looking for things to do with kale because that's one of the only things my garden is producing this early in the season. I have a lot of tomatoes and cucumbers and all kind of great food in the garden growing, but they're not at the point where I can cook anything with it yet. And I started this YouTube channel this year. So as part of that, I'm trying to share my experience learning how to cook what I'm producing in my garden. So here we go. We're going to blend up some kale and milk to start our process. Yeah, I was learning recipes for how to make a kale smoothie and everything. You start with your liquids and your soft things first. So you start with the kale. So sorry for the noise. And we'll go ahead and move this closer so you can watch the blending. Nice crazy green look there now. All right, and just so we don't have a ton of kale in our teeth after we eat the smoothie, I'm trying to blend it as good as I can. All right, and that did pull everything down. I wasn't sure if things were going to kind of stick to the other end of the cup. All right, and last time I had trouble taking the blades out of there. All right, so I tried the last one. It was like the kale and water. So I think I want to try kale and milk just to see how that tastes before I add in the ingredients. This is weird, and you're not going to see other cooks do this, but that is disgusting. Yeah, not going to lie about it. That is disgusting. That just brings out all the bitter when it's in the milk. When it was in the water, it tasted fresh and kind of like you just, you know, nibble on a piece of kale from the garden. That's got some bitterness, but you know it because, you know, you're eating kale. You eat a kale salad. It kind of has that. When you put it in the milk, it just makes it unnatural bitter. That's gross. Okay, but now we're going to add in the good stuff to make it taste good. So we're going to add in our frozen banana. Let's see. We already added the milk, frozen banana, kale, and this one's really good. You add in a tablespoon of peanut butter. So let's add in peanut butter here. I've got it in here. There we go. We're just going to add in some creamy peanut butter this time. And since I'm not adding in the mango, I think I'm going to add in a little bit of extra. I'm going for more than a tablespoon. All right, so this is kale, banana, and peanut butter, basically. Wow, that does not want to come off there. Yeah. There we go. We're good. All right, put that away. All right, so this one is ready for blending. Let's give it a shot. Last time I had trouble taking it off. I think I over-tightened. We're going to go in the middle ground there. Don't want it to leak, which, saying that, and then it leaked. All right, there we go. We're good. That's all. If not, you get a good laugh. All right, ready for the blending? Here we go. That's got to be blended. All right. Let's take that out, pour that in a cup, and give it a try. All right, that's easy this time. All right, yeah, that is a This is a classic green smoothie, and oh my goodness, is that green. Look at that. Wow. That is definitely getting all of its color from the kale. The banana's not adding anything. The peanut butter might be adding some creaminess, but it's definitely not changing the look of it. All right, so that is our classic green smoothie. All right, so here goes, first try. Well, the first thing you taste is the banana, and then the peanut butter kicks in. That's good. You know, it kind of masks it. I mean, I did just eat some raw kale before I did, so I've kind of got the kale in my mouth already. Yeah, that's a banana smoothie with healthy kale and a crazy color to it, but yeah, it's a banana smoothie. The peanut butter is a nice accent, but yeah, it's mostly the banana that I'm tasting. Yeah, definitely recommended that one. Yeah, definitely give that one a try. Yeah, that is delicious. All right, well, I've got the berry one here. Let me do a little comparison as I go through. Yeah, I think I prefer that one. The berry is, I don't know, I used water for it, so it's more liquidy. If I use something else, it might have a different consistency. But this one is more like a juice because it's strawberries, blueberries, banana, and the kale. Has a nice look, but I think this one tastes better. If I was going to make one, that's the one I'd go with so far. All right, let's clean the blades up real quick, and then we'll try smoothie number 3. And since I got 2 cups, we'll just use the one that I've already got cleaned up. And actually, before all my berries melt here, let me add those back to the freezer. And I'll go ahead and grab ingredients for the next one. Okay, so our next one, which, yep, recipe fell on the floor. Our next one is a peach and oat. I thought that was a really interesting combination of flavors. So I'm going to try a peach and oat this time. So this one is just banana, frozen peaches, a cup of kale, and a 1/3 cup rolled oats. So let's get our ingredients together. I don't think my peaches are quite frozen yet, but they're definitely cold. And the banana is frozen, so we at least have something frozen going in there. All right, so let's go ahead and slice another frozen banana. Which, yeah, with a straight blade, it just doesn't really want to cut. Let's try a steak knife. That way I can at least saw through it if I can't cut it. All right, and then if I can get through the peel, should be easy enough. Get the peel off. Yep, there we go. All right, so frozen banana is not the easiest thing to prep, but it works. And we're getting most of it off. Yeah, making some mistakes along the way. All right, there we go. Banana definitely frozen, but I'm not sure about the peaches. They're going to be cold, but they haven't been in the freezer quite long enough. All right. That is our banana. And I think I can slice it with this one. I just couldn't get the... There we go. So we'll go ahead and slice our frozen banana. Yeah, it's a little bit of pressure to go through the frozen banana. Okay, let me go ahead and get rid of my spoon there. Okay. All right, so let's start with our kale. This one is a cup of kale. There's our cup. Let's measure out about a cup or so of kale. All right, I think that's actually about a cup and a half, 2 cups, but I'm okay going strong on the kale since that's the thing that I've got a lot of. And it blends down to a lot less than what you start with. All right, and this one didn't give me what I'm using as the juice. So I'm thinking what I would like to do is use some of the peach juice in there. So I'm going to use some peach juice just to give it some extra kick. And that'll help the rest of my peaches to freeze. And I'll grab my cup and we'll do the rest of it with just water. The other one was about a cup, so I'm assuming about 3/4 of a cup since I added in the peach sauce there, the peach juice. All right, so let's blend up our kale. Get that all ready. Yeah, you always start with your liquid and your soft stuff. All the recipes I looked up agreed on that point. All right, let's bring this up to the camera and get ready for the noise. We're gonna blend our kale. There we go, nice and blended. And then add in our, there we go. And then we'll add in our banana. That's already cut up right here on the cutting board. Ooh, nice splash I have to clean up later. All right. Then we can add the banana peels to our compost later. Now, rinse my hands real quick. All right, dry those off a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to add in some peaches. And this says frozen peaches. Didn't give me a measurement. So, I think what we'll do is do a cup or so. Oh, we might need the bigger container to do this. All right, and then we need a 1/3 cup rolled oats. All right, and grab my towel there. I'm gonna dry the cup. All right, let's pour in about a 1/3 cup rolled oats. Measure that and then pour it. That's pretty good. And put the lid back on there for something crazy happens. All right, we'll add that in there. Yeah, that's about all it holds. Yummy. All right. And let's see, is that going to hold everything or is that going to be too much? That is a full container, so hopefully that blends and opens okay. Making a mess. Making more mistakes. All right, let's clean that up real quick before we make a bigger mess. All right, so let's enjoy the crazy look of banana and peaches in kale smoothie before it gets blended. Isn't that a beautiful sight? I'm going to eat that and enjoy it. Okay, well, let's grab our Ninja, bring it up to the forefront, wipe that down a little bit, clean up the mess. All right, here we go. Blending our peach and oat smoothie. All right, it looks pretty blended. I think it's the oats. They still, they're chopped. So looking at it like that, I'm seeing the chopped stuff and it looks like it still needs to be blended some more. Now my hands are wet. It was hard holding it when I was blending it. It's definitely hard holding it, trying to open it. All right, we'll dry that off a little bit. There we go. Get our cup ready because this one is full. All right. Oh yeah, that one looks really good. Yeah, I'm using that word creatively. That looks disgusting, but I'm pretty sure it's going to taste amazing. Okay, so this is our peaches and oats smoothie. So this was banana, peaches, rolled oats, and kale. All right, let's give you the close-up. Now see, looking at it, that one's got a lot more texture to it with the rolled oats in there. I don't know that this one's going to be chewy, but it's not going to be liquidy like the berry was. All right, here here goes the first taste. It smells really good. You can definitely smell the peaches. Yeah, definitely different texture having the rolled oats in there. Gotta chew it a little bit. Yeah, that's really good. It's really strong peach flavor. So it's definitely a peach smoothie. The oats give it some texture. You know, I'm not really tasting the kale at all. So yeah, if you're wanting a kale smoothie where it looks like kale, but you're not really tasting it, this one completely masks the kale flavor. That is really good. I mean, it's peach. Yeah, I like it. That's really good. Now, I was thinking about adding in a little bit of honey for this one. I almost added that. So if I make this one again, I might add a little bit of honey to it. That is really good, though. All right. So that's our 3 smoothies that I wanted to try tonight. So we got the banana berry. We got the see what was this one? That was just our classic green. So this one is like a banana and peanut butter, which this one's my favorite. Of the 3, flat out, the banana and peanut butter, that's my favorite. The peach and oats is really good, but it's peach and oats. It completely masks the kale. With the banana and peanut butter in there, I still get a hint of the kale to it. Plus, this one is creamy. This is the creamiest of the 3. So that one is more like a dessert. I'd say this one is probably the best for like a morning, get your day started with some peach and oats kind of thing. That one feels like it would like make your belly like you're good for the day kind of thing. That'd be a good breakfast. This one I would do any time of day, but this one's probably a good evening, you know, because it's got that creaminess. It's got the peanut butter and banana. Really like that one. And I think this is, if I want to make a smoothie and go work in the garden for a while and have something sweet and delicious to kind of cool me off as I'm working out in the heat, that's the way to go. Because that one is just, it's like a nice juice, but you're getting all the healthy benefits of the kale in there. It is delicious. That is delicious. All right. That is our 3 smoothies. This has been a fun little experiment. Hope people enjoy the live stream or the recording later. I had a lot of fun doing the garden tour. Had some technical issues with the connection there, but I think it turned out okay, hopefully. I don't know. I'll watch it afterwards and see if it actually picked up everything. I will be putting this recording out on the channel as soon as it's available. Well, actually, what I'm doing with those, I have a schedule now. So my cook and chats on Sundays are going to be alternated with a podcast recording with my sister. So those will go live on Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time right now. The clips and shorts that I make from that will be coming out daily, and those will just, you know, however those work out, I'm going to be making clips from these just to practice YouTube skills and to, you know, put my channel out there a little bit more to try to get some feedback and just help the channel to grow. So I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm not sure who's still there. I've only got one other person at the moment. But if that's you from UK, thank you for joining. That is awesome. I appreciate having people from other countries definitely joining the chats. And yeah, letting me know where you're from. That's awesome. So thank you very much. I'm not sure if Father's Day a thing around the world. I'm not sure if that's a US holiday or that's an everybody holiday. But yeah, happy Father's Day either way. And thank you for watching. This has been so much fun. And the other thing is I've started, I have another channel that's my personal channel that I was using before I started this one. And so I've kind of turned that into a gaming channel. So my daughter is home. She's going back to her sophomore year at college, and she wanted to play some Minecraft. So she kind of got me addicted to Minecraft again. And since I have another channel and gaming doesn't really fit on this one, I'll have a link to my Ferrex gaming channel. And feel free to join me there and just have a relaxing experience of me playing Minecraft and just talking about what I'm doing and what's going on in my life and just all the things. It'll be a chance you can reach out and communicate with me outside of these every 2-week live streams. But yeah, just want to go ahead and put a little plug in that for myself. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm probably going to finish this one, clean up the kitchen, and probably go do another live stream because I'm really wanting to play some more Minecraft this weekend, you know, Father's Day and all. All right, well, I'll see you next time, and yeah, this is awesome. Thanks for joining the journey.